Alright, hello and welcome back to part numero 3 of this manifestation overview. Today we're going to be moving on into the actual manifestation stuff. So, I already mentioned briefly, manifestation is kind of like a game of offense and of defense. It's about increasing your allowing of letting things manifest into your life and decreasing whatever is blocking the things you want to manifest in your life. Yeah, so now this is kind of like an NLP perspective, but I found it really helpful when you start to think about what do you even want to desire and like why. So the first thing I would say, if you're looking to manifest and you don't really know exactly what it is you want to manifest yet, or maybe you have an idea but you don't really know from the in-depth manifesting perspective. I mentioned in the other manifestation video I did in nature somewhere, it's somewhere on one of the videos, I go into the person, I forgot their name right now, but he's also on YouTube. Basically, if you want to identify your desires and your wants, in this is just an example, you don't have to do it like this. I'm just going to walk you through a way of looking at it that helped me. Think about 3 to 5 things, desires that you have, that you want, and then write them down as values or as feelings. So for example, if you want money is super objective. To somebody might think they want 1 million to feel like they have enough, whereas somebody else might just want like 1,000, for example, or 10,000 or whatever. So the objective amount of money is super subjective. So if anybody's trying to manifest money, the realization of it's not the specific amount of money that you want, it's more about the underlying of feeling of having that money. What would it give to you? So for a lot of people that would be probably security would be one big example for the money example, or peace because they're stressing about not having money, for example, or freedom or independence or whatever it is. So that is what you need to embody to receive that. You don't need to embody, if you're trying to manifest 1 million, if that's your number, for example, you don't need to embody already having that million. You need to think about how would you feel having that 1 million and embody that. I'm going to kind of bring it back to what I mentioned in the first video on this one, in this series, and a definition of manifestation that I found really helpful from neuroknowledge is internally shifting to a degree where you're no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change. So be as good with it as you are without it. That's where in the last video I talked about, you already have it. You should be in the mindset of already being aligned with what you're trying to bring in, because that's how things flow easily. That's why people who have money already easily get more money, because they're already aligned with receiving a lot of money, for example. Then another aspect of that is neutralizing dependence or importance. So there's that concept of the law of importance. Basically, I think I'll go into it in a little bit again, is if you put too much importance, you're indicating a lack. You're putting something on a pedestal because you don't have it, which energetically indicates a lack. And also, like, why would you look at something as important? If you're looking at 1 million euros, if you're trying to manifest 1 million and you're looking at it like this is that thing that I want, then energetically, again, you're asserting that this outside thing would internally fulfill you, which it doesn't. Things from the outside don't actually internally fulfill you at all. You align with the internal thing that you want to have, and then the things pour in from the outside. So again, here it's about don't focus on what you don't want. God, consciousness, whatever, it doesn't understand don't or not. It only understands focus. So here again, it's attention, where you put your attention or your focus is are going to lead to the vibration that you're in. If you're focusing on the fact that you don't have it, then your vibration is in a vibration of lack. Then your frequency is going to be a frequency of lack, and the reality that generates from that frequency is also one of lack. So it is attention, focus, leads to vibration, leads to frequency, leads to reality. So always focus on what you do want and have, embody the feelings, thoughts, actions, whatever that you would have if you were already in that desired state. So if you're kind of trying to conceptualize exactly how to get to that point, think about what would that version of me think, feel, and act like, and embody that and be grateful for what you have. One thing that kind of helps with that, one thing that kind of helps with that is shifting your mindset from having problems to experiencing contrast, or having focus issues. Or if you're, for example, running into a hurdle, a perceived hurdle on getting that money, then instead of focusing on that problem, which we learned we don't want to do, think about it in terms of everything is always working out for my highest good. So if I'm experiencing maybe contrast right now, then that is also for my highest good. I just don't yet understand why. So the same thing if you think about something that happened to you that in the moment you were struggling with, for example, years ago, with hindsight, but then with hindsight you realize that that was one of the key things to help you grow and develop in a way that you wanted to grow and develop. So reframing problems into focus issues, or into contrast issues, or into contrast in like a time sense. Like I mentioned, with hindsight this is going to make sense. With hindsight this is going to be something that has brought me closer to my goal, not further away. This is not something that is just trying to block my way to never achieving what I want. So emotions magnetize. We're going to talk about this later a little bit with a visualization, for example, that using your imagination, you can kind of, for manifestation, you can kind of supercharge its manifesting abilities in your life by charging it with a lot of emotion. I'm going to go into that later. So negative emotions lead to a negative vibration, lead to negative frequency, lead to negative manifestation, leads to negative reality. So instead, again, whatever way works for you, find a way that neutralizes negative feelings or thoughts. It could be what I mentioned before. It could also be, actually I just forgot. Let me think. Anyways, let me just move on. Positive emotions, on the contrary, magnetize more positive things to come in. Gratitude indicates already having or already receiving, which is a very powerful tool for attracting. So positive emotions or thought, etc., is allowing positive manifestations and positive reality. So the defense part of this is then to overcome strong emotionally charged blocks, like fears that you have, like limiting beliefs that you have, doubts, attachments, addictions, etc. It's all about finding a way for yourself that works to get over these things. Reframing, neutralizing, being grateful for the challenges or for the lessons or for the contrast, all of those can be techniques that work, may or may not work for you. Just figure out, like I said, what works for you. Now we're kind of going to move into techniques a little bit. The first one we're going to talk about is prayer and affirmation. I already touched on this in the last one, but to go into it a little bit more. Avoid limiting speech or limiting words. There is Your Word is Your Wand or something like this. I think it's a book from Florence Scovel-Shinn. Is in manifestation, people look at words as very powerful in a creative sense, in a creating reality sense. So this is where we want to avoid any words or any phrasing that indicates a lack if we're using prayer or affirmation. So what we don't want to use in terms of words, for example, is I need, please give me, I want, I hope, I wish, I will have, it will happen soon, I am trying to. So these are all indicating separation between you and your desire. That's what I said in the last one, is when you think about correct way of using affirmations, it usually is I am, or I have, and whatever it is now, or in some way you're experiencing that reality now energetically. So to phrase it correctly is present tense, with gratitude, with certainty, command, and confidence. Like you're not saying something, when you're ordering something from, say, Amazon or whatever, you don't order and then you're wondering if you actually ordered it, or if the order really went through, or if it's just going to take you money and not actually going to order your thing. You have that certainty, that command, and the confidence over understanding. By this point, you understand how manifestation works. Ideally, you've started trying to use it, or you're now learning how to try to use it. Not trying in a sense that you're not achieving it, but trying in a sense of you're in the process of testing for yourself how you like to use it, what works for you, and this and that. So it is, I am, I have, I received this now, it is done. Thank you for blessing me with, success is already mine, and I welcome it now, for example. So it turns from waiting to having patience to certainty. Instead of saying it will happen soon, by which you're indicating you don't believe yet that you have it yet, or I will have at some point in the future, or I am trying to, which trying in and of itself is kind of a lack of achievement. Well, like if you're trying to raise your arm, but all you're doing is trying to, then are you actually raising your arm? No, just raise your arm. Understand how it works, you understand that it works, so you're raising your arm. Then visualization can also be combined with affirmations, but I'm going to talk about it as separate, because I think if you understand affirmation and visualization separately, again, this is about figuring out a process that works for you, that you're comfortable with, that you like to use. About visualization, two key things is usually whenever you visualize, do it from your point of perspective, from your POV, like seeing through your eyeballs what you're visualizing. And also Neville Goddard, for example, talks about doing it in kind of states akin to sleep. So that's early in the mornings when your brain is just coming out of that very relaxed brainwave pattern, or before sleeping at night. It's not a big deal if you fall asleep after. And then also emotionally charging whatever you're visualizing, and with the feelings that you would feel with a desire fulfilled. If you're, for example, manifesting a house or whatever, then it could be that you visualize yourself walking into your home right after having successfully purchased it, and walking around and admiring and being grateful for having this house from your first person perspective. You're seeing the house that you want, or if you don't have it yet, for example, then visualize the kind of house that you want. What kind of thoughts would you have in that moment? What would you see, smell, hear, touch? Like, try to get as many senses as possible into it, and also try to charge it with the emotions that you are looking to have from that experience. So with a house, for example, would be the security, the peace of finally being in your dream home, or whatever it is. But then again, there it's kind of a little bit of a sliding spectrum between charging it, but also not like emotionally charging it, but also not putting it on a pedestal with that law of importance, that you're not like, oh, this is the one thing that's gonna fulfill me, and it's this outside thing that is so important. So again, more of a grateful, neutralizing the feeling, because even if you were to be in your dream house, you're not going to be in this excited state of gratitude where you can't believe that you actually got it or whatever. You're probably going to actually lose that feeling within a few days. So you don't have to come at it from this over exaggerated state of emotions. Same if you were, for example, to want to manifest a lottery win, then I think a lot of people would think about trying to manifest it from this, connecting it to these emotions of pure elation and like total surprise, shock in the best way ever. But even a lottery win within like maybe a week or a month or whatever, you would feel pretty normal about having received it. So try to focus on the normalized emotions instead of the super heightened states of elation. Yeah, and then again, like I said, for the visualization, try to imagine all your senses into it, or as many as possible, or as many as in the scenario makes sense. Yeah, like I said, ideally before or after sleep, when you're calm and relaxed. So if you don't necessarily want to do it, if it doesn't fit into your schedule to do it before and after sleep, technically even if you do it in before and after sleep, it's ideal to be in a meditative state, in a really calm state for manifesting. But even if you're wanting to do it throughout the day, try to just, it's most effective when your brain is in that really calm, relaxed, suggestive state. So when you're trying to visualize, sit down beforehand, for example, for however long it takes you to really calm down. You can use affirmations with that. My entire body is calm. Every cell in my body is at total peace, or whatever. Kind of talk yourself. That's what works for me. Maybe something else works for you. You can visualize being at a beach, for example, or in a white room, completely white room, or whatever works for you, to get yourself into that calm and relaxed state, which that is the ideal state to use visualizations or to manifest from. Basically, because your subconscious is most easily suggestible, you can most easily imprint onto your subconscious in that state. Yeah, and then another thing to kind of understand in this is your mind can't actually tell the difference. It can't distinguish between what is real and what is imagined / real with mental images. So you are shifting your consciousness to experience that reality that you're desiring, that you're wanting to create, to experience that reality, or as close as you can get into it. This obviously might take some practice over time, but that's ultimately the goal. And you shift your consciousness into that reality. So what you accept mentally as true or real must express in the outer world. That from the neuroKnowledge guy, one example that he uses to visualize, again, you first get yourself in a relaxed state, and then his suggestion is to visualize like a 10-second loop, kind of, that you, or like a 10-second POV clip that you kind of loop until you lose that emotional charge. And some of the key points that he suggests for this manifestation, for this visualization technique is, for example, that there's a person that is close to you, a loved one, somebody that you care about, that really cares about you, whatever, congratulating you on achieving whatever the desire is that you're trying to create. So you're seeing that person being like, however that person naturally would be. You don't envision them in a way that would be completely out of character for them. So if I were to visualize somebody and they're like, you know, I'm so proud of you for actually achieving XYZ. I knew you really wanted that. I know that was really important to you. I'm so happy that it really worked out for you. And then somehow connected to a physical touch from them. You can imagine at the end of that loop that they hug you, or that they're whatever feels natural to the person. Basically, that's you trying to bring more senses into it, into the actual visualization. So from your POV, feel the state and feeling of the wish manifested, and imagine with the senses of them touching you, hugging you, or whatever, and loop until the emotional charge is going down in a relaxed state. That's the technique he uses. You can use different techniques, but yeah. And then the next one actually is going to be a shorter video, because I'm going to move on to revisiting some of the concepts I mentioned before. Also, I've been writing notes in the last few times I've made videos about the things that I think I could go into more depth about. So I might also revisit those things at the end of this. Yeah. Okay. That's that for this one. I think we only have like 5 or some more pages left. And then, as I mentioned, I might come back to, actually no, 8 more pages, but we'll see if it's really all that important. And then we'll come back to the things that I think can be explained in a more, well, better way. I wish you a nice day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. And for everyone who's still here, I know I said, you know, it's gonna be time. You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just have a nice fucking day. Bye.